Hello, Abby from Hoola-Fit here. Welcome to the first in a series of online tutorials for hoop dance foundational moves. Today we're going to be talking about waist hooping, or maintaining hoop rotation at the waist level. And the first and one of the most important things to recognize is that you're going to want the right equipment. So I would avoid the plastic toys that are meant for children that you see in stores. A lot of times people have a misconception that they can't hula hoop or hoop dance because they're so used to trying these plastic toys that really aren't made for adults. A handmade fitness hoop is what you're going to want to get. And so ideally the hoop will come between your belly button and your rib cage when you hold it up in front of you. Now the bigger the hoop, the slower it spins, which makes it easier to use. So if you're just starting off, maybe you go for a hoop that comes way up close to the rib cage level. That's the kind of hoop I started with, and it really helped me out a lot. So now that we've got the right equipment, we're going to go over ways to maintain hoop rotation on the waist and also recover the hoop if it starts to fall. So let's first bring the hoop to our lower back, holding on with both hands. We're going to stand with one foot in front of the other. Now, if you're brand new to hooping, or you haven't done this since you were a child, my first recommendation would be to give the hoop a big push and just let it fall. And the reason I recommend doing that is because this will bring awareness to the contact points. In other words, the point where the hoop rolls across your belly and it rolls across your back. Once we identify those points, that's going to really help us out because those are the areas that we're pushing and pulling into to keep the hoop spinning. So let's go ahead and come back to that forward back stance, one foot in front of the other. And if we are spinning to the left, meaning if your instinct is to spin the hoop going left right off the bat, then most likely that contact point is going to be above the left hip if you've got your left foot forward and the lower back on the right side. And these are the areas that you're pushing and pulling into to maintain rotation. If your natural instinct is to spin the hoop to the right, you might have your right foot forward, and in that case the contact point would be above the right hip and the lower back on the left side. And these are the areas that we're pushing and pulling into, keeping our knees soft, nudging forward as the hoop comes across our belly and nudging back as it comes behind. If you prefer to stand in a position where your feet are shoulder width apart, your movement will be a side-to-side rocking. So you're just shifting your weight, again keeping your knees soft, shifting your weight from one side to the other, and pushing into your feet. Good, so this is a basic way to maintain waist hooping rotation. Now if we start to lose the hoop, there's a few different ways that we can recover. One of those ways is to increase our speed. When we start to go faster, the hoop will begin to travel up the body. It's the same idea as if we had a rubber band at the base of our finger and we wound it up, it would fly off, right? So this works the same way, our hoop in relation to our bodies. When we go faster, the hoop's going to start to travel up. So we can push a little bit more vigorously into those contact points to maintain rotation and keep the hoop spinning instead of hitting the ground. Now, another great way to save the hoop is to dip and bump. So we can actually lower our waist to the level the hoop is falling, pull it back up with us. You want to avoid a constant lowering. Instead, it's a quick down, catch the hoop, and bring it back up with you. And one other thing I forgot to mention is that when you're maintaining waist hooping rotation, a lot of times people want to come into a circular motion. That's something you're going to want to avoid. When you do circles, the hoop is going to wobble and fall. Instead, keep in mind those contact points, pushing forward and back with the rocking or side-to-side shifting of the weight. All right, so the last recovery that we're going to go over today, which is a very important one, is turning into the direction of the hoop's rotation. When we turn with the hoop, we slow it down, which is a great way to give ourselves more time. This sets us up for different tricks and movements. It's also a wonderful way for us to stop the hoop when we start to turn into the direction of the hoop's rotation. I love this recovery because you can actually stop the hoop and keep turning, making it a part of your dance. Right, so a quick little refresher on the things we talked about today, making sure that we have the right equipment, the right hoop, which has friction tape on it or gaffer's tape so it'll stick to your hips to keep it spinning. And ideally this hoop comes between your belly button and your rib cage when you hold it up in front of you. I also don't recommend hoops with water or sand in them. Instead, you can always add more tape to the outside of the hoop to give it weight if that's what you prefer. You can make a bigger diameter hoop to help you out. We talked about pushing and pulling into the contact points in a side-to-side rhythm or forward-back rocking to maintain rotation. We talked about our dip and bump recovery, about going faster, and turning with the hoop. I hope this was helpful. Stay tuned for more tutorials from Hoola-Fit, and we hope to see you in a training soon.